The 2016 Mercedes-AMG G63. If you want one of these hardcore off-roading yet very luxurious SUVs, I really recommend you get down to your Mercedes dealership now because, well, very soon the G-Wagon that you see is going to be completely redesigned. I'm Jay and welcome to this latest episode of Car Buzz Unboxing Reviews, and I've really been looking forward to doing the G63 for a long time. You don't see them all the time, but fortunately, Mercedes-Benz of Walnut Creek, I want to thank them for letting me come down and film today. Happen to have one in stock. I was told it was there, so I literally raced down to the dealership to film this for you. So let's talk about this here. So I already did a review of the Mercedes G-Wagon, the G550, which is the so-called base model. This is actually the G63, the mid-range of the G-Class lineup. You also have at the very top of the line the G65. That has a V12 engine. And I'll talk more about engines and some various other differences throughout this review, but basically, the Mercedes G-Class, it dates back to 1979, and yeah, it's been updated over the decades. As you can see, this very updated and modern interior, but Mercedes-Benz has realized that a complete redesign is very necessary, and it's going to happen in just a couple of years, I believe, so stay tuned for some major changes. But for now, let's start with the engine. Alright, so that was a twin turbocharged 5.5 liter V8 with 563 horsepower and 560 pound-feet of torque. Now, power goes to all four wheels through a 7-speed AMG automatic transmission. It is Mercedes' 4MATIC permanent all-wheel drive system. Again, this is a true body-on-frame SUV. It has solid axles front and rear, as opposed to not being like on a unibody platform. So yes, this is about as hardcore as you can get. And I just have to say, I absolutely love the looks of the G-Class, or as they like to call it in Germany, the Geländewagen, or the cross-country vehicle, that means. And notice the very short front and rear overhangs. Again, that's done on purpose, so for that, you can go up at a decline or a recline whenever you're going off-roading so that you don't actually damage the vehicle in any sort of way. And what's interesting is that the G-Class was actually a suggestion by the Shah of Iran back in the 1970s to Mercedes-Benz, or Daimler-Benz actually. He was actually a shareholder in the automaker, and he suggested, well, you should guys come up with a military SUV vehicle, and the G-Class, which is actually the civilian version, is the result, but the civilian version of it, which is this one here, did not hit the market until 1979. Now, this particular one here is painted iridium silver metallic. It comes with standard 20-inch AMG wheels. This particular one has 20-inch black AMG 5-spoke wheels. All these things, again, they cost extra. When I get to pricing, if you're going to buy one of these things, you have to be prepared to spend six figures, at least if you're buying it brand new. Notice the amount of ground clearance there. You have the side step to help you get in there. These things are tall, let me tell you. But I personally, I like these, the black AMG 5-spoke wheels as opposed to the standard ones. I just think it is combined with the iridium silver metallic paint. I think it really helps make the vehicle stand out even more. But it has sort of this really timeless design. If you head over to Car Buzz, you'll see some spy shots of the next generation G-Class testing. It does very much look like a G-Class, and Mercedes has realized it would be a big mistake to really, really dramatically alter the design, sort of like a Jeep in the Jeep Wrangler. So here's that gorgeous engine. Oh. Fuel economy, 12 miles per gallon in the city, 14 on the highway, and a combined 13. Total weight is 5,961 pounds. This is just an absolutely beautiful engine, handcrafted in Germany. As you can see, it is signed by the German technician who put it all together. That's an AMG trademark thing that they do. Now, in terms of performance, 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.8 seconds, 0 to 100 in 11.5 seconds, and top speed is limited, or electronically limited, excuse me, to 130 miles per hour. And these numbers are actually pretty good considering this thing weighs about 6,000 pounds. You can, attribute that right to that handcrafted twin turbo V8. Now, we know that the upcoming redesigned G63, the entire G class lineup, which will probably debut sometime in 2018, maybe as early as this September at the Frankfurt Motor Show. That G class, or the new G63, compared to this one, will have a twin turbo 4-liter V8 with 612 horsepower and a 9-speed automatic. Now, Mercedes-Benz also plans to shave off about 600 pounds. That in turn obviously will improve fuel economy and performance, but for right now, really, fuel economy is just, it's just really crappy here. Again, it requires premium fuel. Now this interior, let's talk about that here. As you've seen already, it has that really cool diamond stitching front and rear. I love that. I just think it looks so appropriate in a vehicle like this. This paint, it's titanium gray pearl Napa leather. A lot of standard features here. Power tilt sliding sunroof, dual zone automatic climate control with a Mercedes command infotainment system with navigation, a Harman Kardon surround sound system, power heated and ventilated front seats with memory and lumbar support, heated front seats, flat folding second row seat, ambient lighting, privacy glass. It's a very luxurious interior. But the moment you step inside, you're going to notice two things. One, it's a very narrow cabin. And two, and this is for rear seat passengers, you actually sit a little higher up, which it's kind of like baseball stadium style seating, it feels like. You have to get used to it. Now, this particular G63, obviously, it comes with many options, one of which is carbon fiber trim that costs an extra $2,950. All-season floor mats, an extra $200 there. Heated steering wheel, $250. This also has the AMG exclusive leather package that gives you these AMG sport front seats, seat inserts, center door panels, and rear door insert with a Designo leather and diamond stitched design, upper and lower dashboard, and Designo black Napa leather as well. Now, this updated interior was only done for the 2016 model year, so that's why it looks pretty good, and it's really incredible that Daimler-Benz has been able to update the old G-Wagon as much as they have, considering, again, the design, the engineering basics of it go back to 1979. You have your command nav system display right there. Again, it's really well placed for the driver. And it is actually quite comfortable in the driver's seat. You have modern amenities such as adaptive cruise control. For off-roading, there's 3 locking differentials. You have a low range transfer case and a minimal overhangs, like I mentioned earlier, for front and rear, steep inclines and declines as well. Now, this is the command infotainment nav part of the system here. Again, as I've said with all other Mercedes-Benz products, I think command can be a little tricky to use. I personally prefer BMW's iDrive a bit better, but the screen quality here, as you can see, is just fantastic. And like I mentioned, I think the screen itself is very nicely located. It's not as much like integrated into the dashboard like you see in a lot of cars. I'm not a big fan of that. I like it, and Audi does something similar, where in case of the Audi, the screen literally just pops out of the top part of the dashboard. Here it's just stationary, which again, it's just fine. It's 6 of 1 to me, but I don't like having these nav systems on the main displays so much integrated into the dash. I like them to be raised higher, especially in a wagon like this, which it already is very tall and narrow. It just suits it very well. And in terms of overall interior quality, listen, this is a Mercedes-Benz product. It's part of the AMG division. AMG, of course, is the German automaker's high-performance division, so no expenses were spared here. Look at all that carbon fiber. Again, it's part of the extra interior package. Again, Here's the sign of the vehicle's age. The cup holders, that's where they're at. There's just simply not a lot of room on the center console to put them. Now, overall, the dash design, it's very straightforward, very simple. I found some of the buttons maybe a little tiny to use, especially if you have to reach over, but I'm not really faulting the vehicle too much for it just because it's held up so well over the years. Again, there's only so much design abilities that Mercedes-Benz can do with it, and I think they've really just done a spectacular job updating this thing for 2016. All right, so let's talk some standard safety features here. For starters, you have an advanced airbag system, anti-theft alarm system, blind spot assist, an electronic stability program with trailer stabilization, ABS brakes, brake assist system, LED daytime running lights by Xenon, headlights, automatic headlights, a twilight sensor, and locator lighting, as well as, of course, a rear view camera. Yeah, there it is. Nice sunroof. Those are always fun to have. I think it really brightens it up. Panoramic sunroof, do you really have to ask? You can't get that in something like this. I think it would just add too much weight, and the vehicle just wasn't designed for it. Now, this 7-speed automatic, I have to say, this is really an excellent gearbox from Mercedes-AMG. Now, like I mentioned, for the next generation G-Class, it's going to have a new 9-speed automatic. So, there you go. Hey, listen, we've learned that Ford is actually developing a 10-speed automatic. So, don't be surprised if you hear maybe one day 11 or 12-speed. It will happen. All right, so how does this thing drive? Well, as I mentioned, it's actually quite comfortable in the driver's seat. I think rear seat passengers, I think they're going to have to get used to sitting up a bit higher, but it's one of the minor sacrifices I think you're for getting such an awesome vehicle like this. Again, what I love about this thing is that it can go anywhere. I don't think a lot of buyers are actually going to take it off-roading, which I think is a real shame because you could literally take this thing and put it up against a H2 Hummer and no problem, it will more than hold its own. All right, competition. What is it? Actually, it's really not that much just because this one is just so truly unique and special. Off the top of my head, you have the Toyota Land Cruiser, the Lexus LX, which is the more expensive and rebadged version of the Land Cruiser. Of course, the Cadillac Escalade, you gotta love your bling. Land Rover, Range Rover, and the Land Rover, Range Rover Sport, and even the Infiniti QX80. But all of those don't cost nearly as much as this thing. For an example, the Land Cruiser, that begins at about $85,000. The Lexus LX, $90,000. The Cadillac Escalade tops off at a little over $100,000. And speaking of pricing, what does this thing cost? The AMG G63 base price, $139,000. With all the options I mentioned, plus a $925 destination fee, grand total for this one right here, $149,175. Right there, that is $50,000 more than a fully loaded Cadillac Escalade. So I kind of have to understand Mercedes-Benz thinking that this is really just such a unique type of buyer. They want to blow money. It's because they have it and they just want something really different and cool and unique, special, something with a real pedigree, history. I mean, this is that vehicle. Now, if you want to spend less and still get a Mercedes G-Class, the base G550 G-Class begins at $120,000. I did another unboxing review on that. I encourage you to check that out. Then at the other end of the spectrum, you have the G65, and that begins at just under $220,000. Yeah, quite expensive, different engines, and yet they all have 120 cubic feet of interior space. Yeah. And speaking of the other two G-Class variants, what is under the hood? Well, the base G550 has a twin-turbo 4-liter V8 with 416 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque, while the AMG G65, okay, this sucker has got a 6-liter twin-turbo V12 with 621 horsepower and 738 pound-feet of torque. That thing will blast from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 5.3 seconds. Again, this one will go to 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.8 seconds. Again, it weighs less than the V12 version, hence it's being slightly faster. But then again, having a V12 G-Wagon is just ridiculously cool. But I would still take this one, hands down, no problem. I love the way the interior can be expanded for space with the rear seats folding upward or folding flat. It's just great. All right, so what do I like about this thing? That V8, as you heard earlier, it just sounds fantastic. This thing's chassis is ideal for off-roading. I still love this design. There's just nothing else quite like it. And this is just so unique to Mercedes-Benz. The design, it's so German looking, and I love that it's sort of military-esque roots, and especially how the way that comes through in its design. Now, what don't I like? Well, look, the steering and handling isn't the best, but again, this is an older vehicle, so I gotta give it a little bit of leeway. And also, as you can see, it's just not the most spacious inside. It's insanely expensive, and the fuel economy is just, well, absolutely crappy. But then again, if you're willing to spend 150 grand, I don't think you're really gonna give an absolute crap about your gas bill. It just won't matter to you. But like I said at the very beginning of this review, if you want this current generation, which is still the original generation of the G-Class, you need to get to your Mercedes dealership like now, place an order. They may not even be taking orders much longer because they're going to be making way for its replacement. But I'm out of time for today. Thanks for watching, anyone. Any more questions for me, just leave them in the comments section below, and I'll see you on the next Car Buzz unboxing review.